These are the most shocking moments when poker players lose to quads. In this video, you'll see quads crushing monster hands, shattering bankrolls, and leaving even the best in the game staring at the felt in disbelief. And make sure to stick around until the end for this one, because the last hand is not only heartbreaking, it may be the grossest cooler ever caught on camera. Let's jump right into the action. We're kicking things off with an old school cash game classic. Welcome to High Stakes Poker, the legendary cash game where pots routinely hit numbers that make your jaw drop. At the table are two of the biggest names in the game, Gus Hansen, the fearless risk taker, and Daniel Negreanu, the human lie detector. And even the best in the world can't escape fate, so let's see what happens. Gus kicks things off with his trademark aggression, and Daniel responds with a small 3-bet. Classic small ball poker, needling, prodding, keeping pots manageable while applying relentless pressure. And the flop comes down, set over set. When this happens, you can be sure all the money is gonna go in sooner or later. And just when you think it can't get any crazier, the turn hits. Gus keeps barreling, and Negreanu keeps calling, confident that he has the best hand. But Gus's quads are about to hit him like a ton of bricks. Now, here comes my favorite part of the hand. With the stone cold nuts, most players would just jam the river and hope for the best. But Gus is not like most players. With more than $500,000 in the middle, one of the biggest pots in televised history, and these guys just shrug their shoulders. They truly are in a league of their own.
Both players want the other player to make a straight. And Gus checks his quads.
Then you won 17 here.
Great play by Gus.
You got you lost 2. I lost 2. Barry won 4.
Now, if Gus did have 7-5, Gus has made a straight here. The main thing is Daniel feels he has the best hand. And there's no reason he shouldn't feel he has the best hand. He's feeling the right amount to bet is
$65,000.
$65,000.
That's 96.
I'm all in.
65.
Huh?
I'm all in.
How much more is it?
That shocked Daniel.
Wow.
Count his.
Wasn't expecting it.
The pot now stands at over $400,000. Even without Daniel calling, this stands as the biggest pot in the history of high-stakes poker.
And if Daniel calls, it'll be almost $600,000.
Unbelievable.
Daniel knows that Gus is a loose player. But I don't think he thinks he's loose enough to make this kind of bet on a bluff.
How much?
167.
What is that?
Daniel's got to know that Gus has a hand. What he's trying to figure out is, does it beat his
You
hand?
might have the nuts. You're missing a big pot here, Eli. It's a big pot here. You just raised me 167. It's a big pot. I better have something if I'm going to call, right?
Daniel pointing out to Ellie and Doyle that something's going on here.
Yeah. You think they'd know?
But I know you can do it better.
Buddy, this is if I lose this pot, it's a cooler, so can't feel too bad. If I lose this pot, it's a pretty bad cooler. Pocket 5s, pocket 9s, maybe a pocket 8s. Ooh, that'd be sick too. That would be sick.
Well, you're right, Daniel. It's one of the above.
Yeah.
What else would Gus Hansen be raising you $165,000 with? And Daniel decides to call.
Shows him the 5s.
You had one out.
That was an excellent result for Gus, and hands like this are exactly why the fundamentals decision-making matter so much in poker, which is why I've made a free 20-page poker fundamentals guide designed to help you level up your actual decision-making at the table and not just watch the chaos unfold. If that sounds helpful, you can grab it for free down below, because the next hand features Gus Hansen's legendary aggression paired with one of the most unbelievable board runouts in history. Now we're rolling back the clock to the early days of the European Poker Tour, where the Great Dane does the unthinkable yet again. Gus opens the action with Queen 8 suited. Not exactly what you would call a premium holding, but Gus doesn't have to wait around for the nuts to make the magic happen. Larson looks down at pocket aces and fires a 3-bet, confident he's about to punish Gus's aggression. But Gus was never one to back down easily, so he makes the call, more than willing to take his chances with a weaker holding. The flop brings a queen, giving Gus top pair, and instead of taking the standard route, checking to the aggressor, he flips the script. He leads out, grabbing the initiative, applying pressure where most players would play defense. Unfortunately for him, Larson has the goods this time. He's holding an overpair, and he's not folding anytime soon. He fires right back at Gus, determined to reclaim the betting lead. Gus makes the call, and it pays off big time as he improves to trips on the turn. Larson pauses. Something feels wrong. He's been around long enough to recognize danger when it starts to leak through the cracks. For a moment, caution overtakes confidence. He checks back, choosing control over confrontation. And just when you think Gus can't get any luckier, the river hits. Another queen. He just casually reaches for chips and unleashes a bold overbet, dressed up to look like a frustrated bluff, the kind of story only a fearless player can sell. Larson is at the very top of his range here, holding the second best hand on the board. There's no folding this. There is no escape. Gus has him caged, and the snare tightens with brutal inevitability. Gus was running hot in this one, but he's not the only poker legend who managed to pull off a feat like this. Because if we're talking about impossible runouts and world-class killers, there's only one name we have to mention next, and that's the one and only Phil Ivey. Phil is already a force to be reckoned with on his worst day, but when the cards also happen to be falling his way, he's outright unstoppable, and Sam Greenwood is about to learn this lesson the hard way. We're switching gears for this one, and the game in question is short deck poker, a format that is slightly different from No Limit Hold'em. In short deck, the hand rankings are similar, but the game is played with only 32 cards. This means that strong hands do come around a lot more often, which makes the game a lot more explosive, as you're about to see. Phil looks down at pocket aces in the hijack, and in classic short deck fashion, he limps into the pot, setting up a trap for his unsuspecting victims. Sam Greenwood comes along for the ride with King 8 of clubs. A quiet hand so far, but it's only a calm before the storm. The flop comes down, and Ivey smashes it with a top set. Greenwood also has something to play for. Now, here's something to note about the short deck format. Flushes beat full houses, and sets are far more common. In this format, a flush is a weapon, more valuable, more deadly, and Greenwood is one card away from holding the blade. Ivey leads out on the flop, steady and controlled. Greenwood calls, quietly hoping for one of those magical clubs to fall. If it does, Ivey could be in serious trouble. But then, the turn. Ivey hits quads. The absolute stone-cold nuts, and he doesn't even blink. No heavy breathing, no shift in posture, no tells at all. Just that icy stare that's broken poker souls for 20 years. And then, Ivey checks. A trap inside a trap. He gives Greenwood a rope to hang himself with, whether to fire a bluff or to hit his miracle. Greenwood chooses discretion, checking back. He doesn't know it yet, but he's drawing dead in one of the cruelest spots imaginable, and the river is the dagger. Another club, completing Greenwood's nut flush. A hand that, in short deck, crushes full houses and sends most players into the winner's circle. He thinks he's just hit pay dirt. He thinks he's about to take one off the greatest to ever do it. But Ivey, he knows the whole story already. He leads out, refusing to risk Greenwood checking behind, and the trap snaps shut. When Ivey lays out a trap like this, you really can't blame the person on the receiving end.
A full house doesn't beat
but you're going to raise up here. You're going to
get raised, and you maybe Phil has like the queen high
sick,
or whatever, and a flush, yeah.
I mean, he's not going to like it when he gets jammed on.
He's probably, I don't even think he thinks long. Wow.
Obviously, you lose the 10-9 of clubs and you lose the aces. Those are the two hands you can lose to here.
And if you're Phil, you lose.
Say Phil loses to the 10-9 of clubs and the king 10 of clubs. I mean,
no, king 10 of clubs, right? That's it.
Sorry, yeah, king 10 of clubs only.
So there's one hand you lose if you're Phil, and
there's two if you're Sam.
Yeah. So it's the biggest cooler you'll see, really.
Sam's going to feel sick, but he can't fold.
But sometimes the deck doesn't just punish one player. Sometimes it lines up 3 unsuspecting souls and unleashes pure chaos. Because in our next hand, we have 3 players waking up with a monster hand, and only one of them survives. Up next, we have one of the most absurd multi-way poker collisions ever caught on camera. Veteran pro Donacha Odea limps in with pocket 3s, just hoping to sneak into a cheap flop in hopes of spiking a set. Nothing fancy, nothing aggressive, just classic patience from a man who's seen it all. Achilles Kalakis and Tim Flanders come along for the ride, and we go 3 ways to the flop. And we get the very definition of an action flop, as each player flops a monster, a dream scenario for one player and a nightmare waiting to unfold for the other 2. Odeya flops his set and wastes no time. He leads out, protecting his hand and building a pot. Kalakis smooth calls, quietly slow playing a monster of his own. Flanders hesitates for a second. He's strong, but this board feels treacherous. Still, he can't fold just yet. He tosses in the call, uneasy but too invested to walk away. The turn brings out a king, and suddenly the energy shifts again. Flanders steps into the spotlight, firing out a bet, refusing to let a potential 4th spade peel off without a fight. The tension rises, one man protecting, the other 2 lying in wait. Odeya calls, Kalakis calls, nobody's backing down. And just when you thought this hand can't get any crazier, the river hits. A 3 of clubs, and Odeya makes quads. He can't risk slow playing and allowing his opponents to check back, so he goes for a big bet. Kalakis is already suspecting the worst, but he just can't seem to get away from his hand here. But Flanders sees the warning signs. There's just no way he's beating both his opponents with his hand, so he makes a disciplined laydown, trusting his instincts. Flanders managed to avoid a disaster here, but the same cannot be said for our next unfortunate soul. Next up, we have another poker legend who decides to fight back at the exact wrong moment. And the legend in question is Phil Hellmuth, who fought an exhibition match against Nick Wright, a sports commentator and recreational poker player. So on paper, this should have been an easy matchup for Phil, but Nick held his own against the poker brat. Nick looks down at pocket queens, an absolute monster hand in any format, but especially in a heads-up match. Phil decides to defend his big blind, and he quickly checks in the dark, a signature Hellmuth move at this point. Nick spikes top set, but if he wants to stand a chance against Phil, he can't just come out swinging, so he quickly checks, allowing Phil to potentially make a mistake and walk into a trap. And the turn comes, another queen. Nick knows full well how hard it is to actually get paid off here, so if he wants to make some money, he's gonna have to let Phil do the work for him. And that's exactly what happens, as Phil finally decides to take a stab at the pot. Nick feels like Phil's hooked now, and he quickly goes for a raise. This one may be a bit too optimistic, as this allows Phil to get away from his hand. Holding only 7 high, surely Phil has to fold now, right? Well, think again. Instead of backing down, Phil decides to take a stand at the worst possible time. Nick takes his sweet time, pretending like he has an actual decision to make. He goes for a flat call, really selling his reluctance. A perfect trap in the making. The river brings out a potential flush, and for a second, it looks like Phil may be able to avert a disaster. But instead, he decides to commit to his bluff.
Oh, would Phil give Nick credit for having checked back a spade draw on the flop? So perhaps backdoor clubs, maybe a combo draw, clubs and a straight draw is where Nick finds himself.
7,200.
And Hellmuth comes with 7,200.
27,000.
27,000.
Which is promptly piled on.
A gross spot for Phil, but at the end of the day, he has nobody to blame but himself. This hand was a tragedy of his own making, but sometimes tragedy strikes, and there's absolutely no way of escaping it. Losing to quads is tragic enough, but when both players hit quads, it's outright heartbreaking. It may sound unbelievable, but this is exactly what happens in our next hand between Toby Lewis and Andrew Roble. What started as a routine button raise quickly spirals into a showdown so rare, so statistically insane, that it feels like fiction. Toby looks down at pocket queens on the button and goes for an open raise. In the small blind, Andrew Roble quietly peels pocket nines and just flat calls, keeping things deceptively calm. And from the big blind, Yevgeny Timoshenko comes along with pocket twos, 3 pocket pairs, 3 world-class players, and absolutely no one ready for what's about to unfold. Roble absolutely smashes the board, flopping a full house. He doesn't waste any time, and he starts building up the pot right away. Timoshenko quickly gets out of the way. Now this hand is ridiculous already, but Lewis's next action is pure madness. Instead of laying low and setting up a trap, Lewis goes for a big raise. An absolutely nonsensical line. He has the nuts, he has position, and he can afford to sit back and let his opponents do all the work for him. But fortunately for him, Roble actually has something to pay him off with this time. An absolute chaos in the making, but somehow the hand is about to get even crazier. The turn is a brick, and Andrew quickly checks, confident he's setting up a trap. Lewis is thinking of checking it back, but there's a lot of money left behind. if he wants to play for stacks, he has to keep his foot on the gas.
Yep, and I think given the way the hand's gone, Toby has to fire like 50 or something right here.
Well, I just can't believe he's betting this hand. In case your opponent's got a straight draw, why would you
Wow,
want to shut him out?
Robles is thinking Christmas time, but it's not Christmas time. It's coal in the stockings time. I stole a phrase out of your book. That was you, Jesse. That was you. I can't.
Roble obviously trying to decide. The bet's 60. Do you go all in? Do you raise? Do you just check and lead the river? What's the best way? What does he think Lewis has here? What would Lewis play like this? Obviously, a queen.
I'm in shock he
maybe.
raised him on the flop. I mean, that's the first thing. I would have never thought the guy's going to make a
on the
call
flop. That was,
with
I think,
any
horrible.
hand. Looks like a horrible play.
In hindsight, these will be the worst 7 minutes he spent on his trip to London when he got out-flopped by quads.
He'll be looking at on the airplane ride home in his mind, too.
Oh, boy. Toby, on the other hand.
Still just flat calling.
Well, they're just calling here.
Because he's thinking my opponent might be bluffing.
That's what it has to be. That's what it has to be.
The only thing would make it worse if a 9 comes up on the river.
Right.
Oh, my God.
That was sick.
Can you believe this?
Oh, my Lord. That
Quads
is so
over quads.
sick. I can't believe that.
It's kind of unfair.
Oh, my Lord. So now he's like,
Oh, my God.
he's like, wow, my opponent can't have queen 9. Hopefully he has queen 5, you know. Or
Well, Toby must be thinking, geez, what can this guy have to be calling with all this way?
One thing we know for sure, just in case he checks it, he is going to get a wager.
I don't believe I've ever seen this before.
no, me either. This is a first for me. 10 years of cards.
Well, he's moved all in and quickly called and let Roble turn up his hand first. 4 9s against 4 queen. Look at Timoshenko's face.
Look at Toby Lewis. Look at
Timoshenko. Look at Timoshenko.
Timoshenko's face says it all here. And again, kudos to Roble for handling it like a pro. If you haven't already, grab my free poker guide in the description below so that you can learn to avoid all these brutal spots as much as possible. And if you're serious about leveling up fast, I'm actually opening up a very limited one-on-one poker coaching program really soon, so stay tuned for that. Now, if you thought that quads over quads was a once-in-a-lifetime event, think again, because something similar happened at poker's biggest stage. And this time, the stakes were a lot higher. What you're about to see might be the most stomach-turning coolers ever filmed. It's day 3 of the 2021 WSOP main event, the biggest poker tournament in the world, and we'll get one hand that defies the laws of nature and probability. Oscar Cecilmus peels pocket 6s. Across from him, Shang Liu looks down at pocket 4s. 2 middling pairs. No alarms just yet. Just another hand in the biggest tournament on earth. But then the flop hits. Cecilmus flops a full house, a dream scenario most players are praying for. But this time, it's different. Liu wakes up with flopped quads. The kind of hand that you'll get once in a lifetime if you're lucky. Disaster is written all over this one. Cecilmus is about to walk into the buzzsaw completely unaware, until the turn hits and lightning strikes. The single card in the deck that can save him shows up just then. And suddenly, the trap flips, and the hunter becomes the hunted. Cecilmus bets the river, and Liu just sits there, celebrating on the inside, already planning how to extract the maximum. He raises to 225,000, playing the biggest hand of his life, convinced that he's about to stack a man holding a worse full house. Cecilmus takes his sweet time, double-checking his cards to make sure he's not actually dreaming here. He moves all in, and Liu makes a snap call. You have to give props to Liu here. Getting eliminated from the tournament is painful enough as it is, but to bust out in such a spectacular fashion has to be soul-crushing for sure. Some of these hands were brutal for sure, but believe it or not, poker can actually get a lot more cruel than this. So, if you want to see what happens when poker players lose with seemingly unbeatable hands, make sure to watch this video next. We'll see you there.